guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about my first semester university experience. I thought this would be useful for either those of you who are at university and wondering what other people's experiences are like, or those of you who are thinking of applying or have already applied to university and just don't know what to expect. So I'll go through both the positives and the negatives of all aspects of being at university, but bear in mind that everyone's experience at uni is completely different, and this is just my experience, so yours may be different, it may be similar, but I'm just telling you kind of how I found things. So I go to the University of Leeds and I'm doing a degree in computer science with mathematics, and those of you who have been around my channel before will probably already know that. And you may also know that I've had a little bit of a hard time settling into university this semester, so some of that might come out a bit in this video. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just speaking from my experiences, but there will be plenty of positives in here as well. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is being away from home, and for the majority of people going to university, university life is the first time they experience being away from their families for a long duration of time and actually living away from home. Quite frankly, I didn't really think about the changes I'd be going through before I went to uni. I was just like really naive about the whole thing. I was just kind of going along with it. I subconsciously knew that like changes were going to happen, but I just wasn't very aware and I didn't put much thought into like the reality of what was going on. So it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks when I actually got to university and my parents left, and then I was living alone and I was like, wow, this is actually happening. So for the most part, living away from home is really fun because you get a huge amount of independence that you wouldn't have got when you were living at home, which means you can just go out, do whatever you want at whatever times without having to stick to any like rules or guidelines from your parents, which is great. But on the other hand, living away from home comes with loads of responsibilities that you don't even think about. So you have to cook for yourself, wash up for yourself, do your own laundry, maintain everything, shop for yourself, like all those things. And quite frankly, those tasks can get so tedious. Like a lot of people go through their lives without doing most of those things until this point when suddenly you have no choice but to do it. And by the end of term, like I could not be bothered to cook or wash up. It was like such a chore. At first it was kind of fun experimenting, cooking new food, but by the end I just like had enough of it, to be honest. But I think these things get more easier with time because I'm not the best cook in the world, so when I improve maybe I'll enjoy these things more. Not sure I'll ever enjoy washing up or doing laundry, but that's just life and you have got to get on with it despite maybe not wanting to. The other thing about living away from home is that you may get homesick, you may start to miss your friends, your family, your pets, and that is completely normal. I know some people who've gone to uni not felt homesick in the slightest, and others who've gone to uni and kind of wanted to go home all the time. I was more to the latter end of the scale, so I kind of wanted to go home quite often and got kind of sad about it. I think that was partially because like I was struggling with other aspects of university, which I'll go on to talk about in a second. That was kind of influencing my homesickness, if that makes any sense. But one thing that did really help me was my flat, because they are such lovely people and they like spent time with me and like made sure I wasn't always alone to try and like cheer me up basically, which was like really nice of them, and I'm grateful to have like such nice flatmates. So basically living away from home, like it is a really good thing, but you've just got to be prepared to miss home and to have to do stuff for yourself that maybe you don't want to do. But besides that, like it's alright, it's pretty good. The next thing I want to talk about is my course. So as I said before, I am doing a degree in computer science with mathematics, and for A-level I did maths, further maths and computer science, so there isn't much of a change in subject that I'm doing literally the same subjects I did at A-level. But personally I am finding my like first year of my degree so much harder than I found my A-levels, which I didn't expect because I'd heard a lot of people say, oh like first year of uni it doesn't count, it's easier than A-levels, but personally I find it so tricky, and I think that is because for me, university is a lot less personal than A-levels were. So during my A-levels I had really small classes. One of my classes was 6 people and another of my classes was 4. So really tiny. Whereas in university my lectures are full of about 250 people each. So they're absolutely packed, and that's 250 people to one lecturer. So when I'm doing homework and stuff like that, I just never know who to ask for help. Like I have personal tutors for my maths modules, but I don't have personal tutors for my computer science modules. And so I can go to my tutorials and ask questions for maths, but for computer science I'm like stumped as to where to ask for help. and a lot of the homework that we get for both computer science and maths is all assessed, so it makes it like you can't ask your friends because it's an assessed piece of work, and like if you ask your friends that's collusion. So it just leaves me like lost as to what to do for help, which I found as such an issue throughout my first semester. I have a lot of contact hours as well. I have about 18 contact hours a week, most of which are lectures. I have two-hour lab sessions a week where I go and code, and you can get a bit of help in there, but help is so limited in the lab sessions. And then I have 3 tutorials in a week as well. So overall 18 contact hours, which is actually more contact hours than I had at A-level per week. I guess the good thing I have to say about my course is that it's really interesting. Like, there is a lot to do and I'm learning a lot in a small space of time, which is what makes it really hard. So it is really stimulating and it gets your brain working, but it's just really hard to like seek out help if you get stuck. So you have to do a lot of work for yourself to try and sort things out. So the next topic that I want to talk about is one that a lot of questions are often asked about, and that is making friends. Honestly, I barely thought about making friends before going to university. I was like, oh, everyone's in the same boat, no one knows one another, everyone will be wanting to make friends, so it'll be really easy. However, I was kind of wrong, so I easily made friends with my flatmates. There are 6 of us in my flat, so me and 5 others, and I found it quite easy to get along with all of those. I'm closer to some than I am to others, but overall we're like a nice group and we go out together, etc. I also have a lot of friends within my accommodation because I have quite a small, tight-knit accommodation where people get quite pally, so like I'm friends with the people in the flats above me, below me, people in other blocks, and they tend to be the people that I go out on nights out with. However, making friends on my course I found so hard. I think there's many factors to this. 1, lectures are massive. You go into a lecture, you will sit there, then you leave, there's not like that much opportunity to speak to people. 2, my course is primarily boys. I'd say it's about 80-20 boys to girls, and like that's not awful, but I've come from a girls' school, so I'm just kind of used to making friends with girls, so it's just a bit of a different experience. And 3, groups start to form really quickly, and if you feel like you don't lie on one of those, it can be really daunting to like go and speak to people and try and get yourself involved in another group because you feel like you're like butting in, but that's what you've got to do, because otherwise you may just be on your own or like be with one other person. So I made one friend on my course like straight away, but then it was just me and this girl, and like say she didn't turn up to a lecture, I'd just be on my own, and that's like not exactly a fun feeling when everyone else is sat with other people. So all I can say is really put yourself out there. I don't think I made enough of an effort to just chat to people. Like, yeah, I tried to sit with people in lectures and speak to them, but then like I'd never really speak to them again, so that didn't exactly help. But you've got to just full on put yourself out there. If you ever get invited anywhere, like go as long as you're comfortable with it and just get yourself involved in an effort to make friends. Along with the topic of getting involved comes societies, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And yeah, that is kind of the lowdown on my friends situation. So following on from making friends comes social life. And I'd definitely say one of my favourite things about being at university has been the nightlife. Like, some of my favourite memories have come from nights out. I've been out like quite a lot, and you can get closer to them by like going out on a night out with them. It's fun to like explore all the different clubs and see what like events they run, then go to them and see which ones you enjoy and which ones you don't enjoy, because there's such a range of music. Like, some nights out you can really hate it because it's not your type of music, and other nights out you can absolutely love it because it's like the best music ever. And especially in Leeds, I think there's like 12-ish clubs that I've heard of, so there is a lot of choice. Club nights out are really expensive though. I've come from a place where there literally is not a club within about like 10 miles, like you've got to travel to go to a club. So I like didn't really go until I went to university, and I didn't realise how expensive they are. Like, club entry is about £5, and if you go on a special night it can be even more. On Halloween, one of the most popular events was at a club called Church in Leeds, and when I went to buy tickets they were £20, so I didn't go. Other than nightlife, there are plenty of other ways to socialise, the main one of those being joining societies. And my uni runs like loads of give it a go sessions where you can go to a society event free of charge and see if it's your kind of thing or not before you actually join the society. Regrettably, I only went to one of these and then joined that society as a result, but I really wish I tried other things out because I'm like slightly struggling to fit in within my society. And that sounds really daft, but like my society is primarily second and third years. There's only about 3 freshers that joined, and all the second and third years are like already in their tight net groups, and it's kind of really hard to get involved with a group that's been already formed for a year. So I have like one main friend in my society and she's lovely, so it's great, but like I'm hoping that I'm going to throw myself in there next semester a bit more and make more friends within my society. So the next thing I want to talk about is money, student finance and budgeting. So university is expensive. Like, I did not realise how expensive university would actually be for me. So when I got the amount that I would be getting for my student maintenance loan, I looked at it, I divided it down into like weekly sections and gave myself a weekly budget that I would be able to spend every week. And I looked at that amount of money and I was like, that's a lot, like that's fine, I'm never going to spend that much every week. Oh boy, was I wrong. I spent that much every week and then some, even despite the fact that I was trying to make a budget. So I had a spreadsheet, I was putting all my expenses on that spreadsheet, everything I ever spent, and writing it all down. But even then, despite knowing I was going over budget, I still did it because I don't know, I couldn't help myself. Like, there's so many things that you spend money on at university that you don't even think about, like laundry, that's really expensive, £8 for 2 loads, like wash and dry. Taxis for nights out, they cost an absolute bomb. Ubers as well, same difference I guess. Little bits and bobs that you have to buy, like toiletries, cleaning fluids, like very liquid. And also food, I think food was more expensive than I thought it would be. Like, my weekly shop is just more than I initially expected it to be. Plus then there's like takeaways and stuff like that, and you want to get involved, so you want to like join in the flat takeaway despite the fact you have no money. So yeah, uni is expensive, and even though I tried so hard to budget, it like didn't really work for me. So I definitely would advise getting a student bank account with an interest-free overdraft, because it actually might come in useful. Oops. Then I want to talk about like health and illness. So the first thing is, fresh as flu is real. That is not a myth, and it is pretty damn bad. So when I was at university, I'd say I had fresh as flu for basically the entirety of week 1 and 2. I was so run down, especially in week 1, it was absolutely awful. I just could barely move out of bed. Then I kind of got a few like minor colds throughout the semester, and then by the end of the semester I just had like permanent headaches. I was just so tired, so run down, and as soon as I got home last weekend I got sick, and I'm only just getting over another kind of gross cold. So yeah, I think the change of like lifestyle just really hits your immune system and you're pretty guaranteed to get ill. Like, my boyfriend, I don't think he got ill throughout the whole of the semester, and wow, like, I'm jealous because most people really do. And speaking of my boyfriend, I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships, namely maintaining a long distance relationship while both of you go to uni. This was like probably one of the biggest worries of mine before going to university, because I'd gone for like over a year with my boyfriend, spending like a few days every week with him, to us living in completely different cities, halfway across the country from one another, barely seeing each other. And I was so worried that like it wasn't gonna work out because we were just gonna be too separated. But from personal experience, it really can work out if it's meant to be. So as long as you organise times to see one another. So I visited him once, he visited me once, and we both planned to go home the same weekend. So throughout the semester I saw my boyfriend 3 different times, which was like the longest obviously I'd ever gone without him. Like, there was months in between those, and that was so long for me, and it was pretty tough, but like we've pulled through and now we can see each other again at Christmas. Then I suppose the same will happen as long as we stay together. So it's not all bad. It's not as bad as maybe you think it's going to be if you're trying to maintain a relationship. I'd say definitely do not break up before going to university unless you're really certain that you don't want to be with that person and you want like a fresh start at uni. Because I know so many couples that break up before going to university just because. And it seems such a shame because you never know, like, it might work out. So in summary, university is tough, and maybe I found it tougher because I was pretty naive and I just imagined that I would have like a breeze at uni, it would be amazing, and it wasn't exactly that. Like, yeah, it was good, but definitely tough at times. And I really don't want to put anyone off with anything I've said. University has been great in so many aspects. There's just some areas where it is pretty tricky, and because it's so different to what you're used to, it makes it a lot harder. Nonetheless, if you want to go to uni, like, do it, go for it, because it's so worth it, even if it is a bit of a struggle. But don't do what I did and go in completely unprepared and completely thinking it will be fine. Have a knowledge that it might be a bit tricky, and then it will pull you through it easier. So I think that is all I have to say for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already subscribed. If I did miss anything or there's any questions you want to ask, just comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible because I really want to help you guys out. And if you're still watching, let me know down below what course you want to do at university, or what course you're already doing, and maybe like which universities you're thinking of going to, or like which university you already go to, just because I really like to get to know my viewers and it'll be nice to read kind of what you guys are up to. So let me know that, and until next time, bye!